Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com here with another arena update for the white deck that I use to grind my dailies. I've done my dailies for today. It was not white, it was green. We showed the green deck yesterday for the Ronus' Monument. This is also a Monument deck. This is an Oketra's Monument deck. It runs around a card that is a 3-mana artifact and has white creature spells you control cost 1 less to cast. And whenever you cast a creature spell, you create a 1/1 white warrior creature token. So instead of going big, we are going wide with Oketra's Monument. And this was the very first deck that I built on MTG. I used it to grind the mono red decks at the time. It's still a pretty good deck. In the meta, there are some matchups that are difficult. This is a deck that I do like to run more in the competitive constructed rather than just the quick constructed, as I think it gets a lot better in the sideboard. You have a lot more action versus a variety of decks. So Go Wide strategy tries to get a bunch of creatures out and then pump them up. And in this particular case, we are going to be running the Angel of Invention. It is the card that curves by far the best with the Oketra's Monument, as you can go a third turn Oketra's Monument into an Angel of Invention on turn number 4, creating 2 more servos. Usually that's the mode you want to do with this particular deck, and they become 2/2 servos. And then all the other creatures you've cast before that, as well as the token that comes out from the Oketra's Monument, will be a 2/2. All right, so let's just go down the list. We are a little bit of a greedy mana base, so Legion's Landing is acting like a land in this deck. It does get flipped very, very often. It is a 1-mana enchantment that brings out a 1/1 white vampire creature token, and if you attack with 3 or more creatures, you get to transform into Adanto the First Fort, which allows it to either add for mana or 3 and tap to create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. So there are a couple of different routes you can go with the Oketra's Monument. I still have a slightly vampire theme to it, even though I've pretty much cut the old school vampire theme that I began with this deck. But we are going to run the 1-drop Skymarcher Aspirant. If you have City's Blessing, it gets flying, which I think is a little bit better than the Dauntless, the 2/1 Knight. The Adanto Vanguard also is a vampire. It's 2 mana for a 1/1. And as long as it's attacking, it gets +2/+0, and you can pay 4 life to give it indestructible. This is a pretty good card versus Fatal Push, other cards that decks that try to kill it early. You can just pay the life instead and have a nice little aggressive attacker. The next is Aviary Mechanic. Aviary Mechanic is a 2/2 for 2, and when it enters the battlefield, you can return a permanent you control to its owner's hand. There are some nifty little combos in this deck with the Aviary Mechanic. First of all, if Legion's Landing can be bounced back to then be cast again to give you another vampire. We do want to hit City's Blessing with this particular deck because there's another pump spell I'll show in a second that is key. But one of the other cool things about Aviary Mechanic is these loop with each other. If you have 2 of them, it's 1 white mana with Oketra's Monument to then return the other Aviary Mechanic back to your hand, create a token, cast it again, return it back to its hand, create a token, rinse and repeat, and you can then get a army from nowhere. Sometimes I'll be facing down a board wipe and then have 2 mechanics in hand and then just completely fill back up my board state with Oketra's Monument. The other card that is great at filling back after a board wipe is Legion Conquistador. This is a 3-mana 2/2. When you cast it, or when it enters the battlefield, you can search your library for any number of cards named Legion Conquistador. So it's going to be, there's going to be 3 others, hopefully, that are still in your deck. And then that allows you to have like an instant army again with the Oketra's Monument. Very good for surviving a board wipe. Very, very good for playing that card advantage war that often happens in this particular meta. The vampire payoff that I'm using right now is Mavren, Dusk Apostle. This is a 2/2 for 3, and whenever you attack with 1 or more vampire, you create a 1/1 life-linking vampire. So you can go Knights. Knights is a different direction you can go with this particular deck, but I still like a little bit of the vampire feel to it. Last but not least is the Militia Bugler. This, I think, is the best addition to this from M19. This is just a phenomenal card. Definitely increased the power level of this deck quite substantially. 3 mana for a 2/3 vigilance, and when it enters the battlefield, you look at the top 4 cards of your library and reveal a creature card with power 2 or less. You may put that in your hand. So that is one of the reasons why I cut the Benelish Marshal, is Militia Bugler does not hit it. And then we're also going to have a little bit of a sub-theme of creatures with power 2 or less, which is the Dusk Dawn, but Militia Bugler is really good because it can usually dig forward. Angel of Invention is the card that I like to grab, but it's not uncommon to like Militia Bugler into another Militia Bugler. And again, it's a great way to fill back up after a board wipe, or just put out enough chump blockers until you can play that game of where you can go over top your opponent. So speaking of going over top of your opponent, we have Pride of Conquerors. This card wins so many games. It's a 2-mana instant speed. Creatures you control get +1/+1, but if you have City's Blessing, they get +2/+2. So with creating a lot of tokens, this Trumpet Blast-esque card, with also giving them toughness, is quite potent for only 2 mana. So a lot of times you can get a quick kill out of nowhere, especially against decks that are being aggressive towards you. They'll tap out, and then you untap Pride of Conquerors and beat them. So I like to run 2 of them. You want to see 1. You never really want to see multiples. You do want to be casting creatures with this deck. And then back to kind of the 2 toughness or 2 power strategy with this particular deck. We have Dusk Dawn. It destroys all creatures with power 3 or greater. And then the aftermath is return all creatures power 2 or less from your grave to your hand. So you can really play that card advantage, board wipe type attrition strategy versus the multitude of decks right now. That this is going to come in a lot of handy towards anything like dinosaurs and vampires and merfolk. You'll see them every now and again. Dusk Dawn just is actually a blowout versus them, as you get a one-sided board wipe them and then get back all your cards that they may have killed, like if you had a chump block for a lot of turns. And so I do like running 2 of them in the main, just as this is a one-match game. You can definitely put these over to the sideboard if you're playing in like a traditional paper where they're only good in certain matchups that you need to bring in. The mana base is going to be 17 plains, 14 Shefet Dunes. Shefet Dunes is a sacrifice it to give all creatures you control +1/+1. It's kind of like a mini either Angel of Invention or Pride of Conquerors. So again, if you can create such a good board state, this can be a finisher. And 2 Arch of Orazcas, because we still really do want to play that card advantage war. And so Arch of Orazca is a good card here. I don't like playing any of the deserts that come into play tapped or the memorial that comes into play tapped in this particular deck, because we want our ideal curve of 1, 2, 3. So this deck has a lot of 1-drops, a lot of 2-drops, and a lot of 3-drops. So we want to go that 1, 2, 3. We don't want to get interrupted, and especially we don't want to get interrupted on turn 4 or turn 5 when we need to slam down this Angel of Invention. This can be a deck that is very, very fast and very, very aggressive, or this deck can be something that can play the distance even versus the heavier control-based decks. So the matchups is really good against this, of course, mono red. It's very, very good. The green decks can be difficult if there is something like Galta that comes out, but usually green decks are pretty easy to beat. What this deck does struggle against is combo-based decks. The heavy control can be a bit of an issue, but again, we can play that war, that attrition war, that against board wipes, or Arch of Orazca, and just Oketra's Monument is very good at handling that. And the Scarab God decks can be rough if they somehow get one of your Angel of Inventions back, but the vast majority of your cards are quite weak for Scarab God to take over. All right, so sideboard, if you are going to play this, Mentor of the Meek is even more value. I don't like it in the main, though, because it's just overkill on the 3-drop slot. And yeah, this is something you could easily side out if you're not going vampires for the Mavren. You could side in some Mentor of the Meeks. Cast outs, of course, are good. Oketra the True is even more ways to grind, or against decks that the board state does get stalled up. This is something that can create a bunch of warrior tokens. Settle the Wreckage is very key versus a lot of the aggressive decks, as it just exiles those 4/3 flyers from red, or even Hazards at that point. I do like running Karn in this deck, as Karn is a card that can gain a lot of card advantage, and with either Angel of Invention or the Oketra's Monument, Karn can spit out a 0/0 colorless construct artifact that is actually more like a 4/4 or 5/5. So I like running Karn in decks that can actually utilize the -2. Otherwise, I think there's better ways to draw cards. But yeah, it's good in this deck. Then Angel of Sanctions is another cast out type card that's really good. It synergizes very well with Oketra's Monument. This is a card that could go up in numbers depending on the meta. And Lyra Dawnbringer is just something that I really bring in versus the bigger red decks, that they have to answer Lyra, or otherwise you just win the game. So I think I'll be doing a quick one, so we won't be looking at the sideboard. A few other cards I thought about the sideboard is a Johnny. I think a Johnny Adversary of Tyrants does work okay in this deck, putting +1/+1 counters on even your Skymarcher's Aspirant or your Legion's landing token isn't even that bad at that point. And then the -2 return a creature card with converted mana cost 2 or less is also okay. That could be like even an Aviary Mechanic that can then bounce something back and then create that army. But I've tested it. Johnny didn't really like it in this particular deck. So anyway, that is the gist of the deck. We are going to queue it up in a quick queue. Quick constructed here and see how well we do with it. Usually either run very, very hot with this deck or, you know, you get matched up against some matchups that end up being tough for this deck to beat. But vast majority of the more aggressive decks are usually something that we can deal with. This deck is also gets good across the board. It has its own game plan. It, you know, doesn't really fold to too many strategies like outright fold. The games you're going to lose the most of is just when you get some weird draws where you either flat out with Oketra's Monuments or get stuck on lands, or you know, flat out on lands. So the typical. Chain Whirler, that's something I didn't talk about. Chain Whirler can be a bit rough, but usually it's not. It's something we can come back from with the Chain Whirler. So here's the perfect example. Like, this is a hand against red that we're actually pretty bad because we have 3 3-drops and no early game. These are the ones that are frustrating because I think we have a total of, so we have 8 and 8 of 1-drops and 2-drops, so 16. So statistically speaking, we should be able to put out cards to match our opponent's cards, at least make them use Magma Sprays and Lightning Strikes early. But this is one, if we have to go like no card next turn. Okay, this is pretty good though because our opponent hasn't put anything out. Unfortunately, we did draw that other planes. So next turn we have to make a decision. Do I want to go Legion Conquistador, Oketra's Monument, or Bugler? Looks like a Chain Whirler is just not going to get any value. Yeah, I think what we do here, geez, another one. We put out the Oketra's Monument because it's the highest payoff. We could get abraded, and then we're kind of struggling at that point. But when we drew 3 planes, that's of course not ideal. And we can't even utilize a lot of our mana at this point. I can run out 2 Legion Conquistadors. Rekindling Phoenix. This is the version of red that's a little bit more tough too. There we have our 5th land in a row. I'm going to thin out our Conquistadors first. So we don't have to draw one off of the Bugler. And we are going to end up having to discard a card, but I really don't care at this point. We need to... Okay, at least we find a Bugler that can keep the army going. Because the Rekindling Phoenix is going to be a pain. I need to find a way to go through my opponent. That is going to be the... Okay, my opponent's going to throw out another Chain Whirler Shock off the Bugler. I think at this point, I think I might have to just block just to save the damage. Yeah, this isn't going good for us. Our opponent had, I think, the perfect hand to really respond to our hand, but you can see we're in pretty good shape still. I'm going to throw out the Arch of Orazca. We're going to go another Bugler to try to hit that Angel, because I need to hit the Angel as soon as possible. Whew. It missed. At least that's a lot of lands that we do not have to even see. But I hate playing defensively here, especially at 4. I think I have to block on the Rekindling Phoenix again. We use 2 Chain Whirlers. There could be a third. All right. Triple Chain Whirler out of 12 cards. That's always nice. That's always lovely. We have to take the damage too. No way around it. I think we're pretty much... Unless we get a... I think we're even pretty much done if we even get a Dusk Dawn. Aviary Mechanic is pretty bad at this point. We'll fill back up our blockers, but then we only have 1 turn to really find an Angel, and then the Angel has to play defense. Whoops. Well, now I shuffled those stupid cards back in my library. Ugh. And I will put out the Mechanic just so we can have 3 blockers. 1 turn to try to find it. Yeah, I can't get another blocker. See if our opponent puts out quads for the Chain Whirler, because, you know, they probably should have the 4th one. Hazoret is going to be lethal because now I can't do anything next turn. So what's the only way I can do to get out of this? Yeah, there's no way. I can block, 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 take 4, We'll just see what we draw for funsies. And it wants to stack them so that I can't actually block anything. Let's see here. I hate this thing where it. There we go. I think we blocked them all. Oh, do you know what? I can still draw. No, I can't because I'm gonna take an untap Hazoret and then kill me for 2. So there's literally nothing I can draw here. So lots of flood, huge flood card just for funsies. We're gonna draw a card and see our other land. There's Dusk Dawn, came late, way late. Yeah, no angels. Bugler missed. We drew 5 lands off the start. I can't think of a worse start than that. And tripped Chain Whirler into Ashcloud Phoenix into Hazoret. That was pretty ridiculous. You can see, though, that we recovered pretty nicely versus Chain Whirler. Usually Chain Whirler is just flat out one of them wins versus a deck that has smaller creatures. But I'll play that match all day long. Usually it's in our favor. It's not something that's going to flood out 5 lands in a row every game. Okay, we'll go ahead and keep this one. I typically don't like doubles, but Legion Conquistador is acceptable with this particular draw. Yeah, we get to start off with a Legion's Landing, and opponent does not have the elf, so typically it's the elf in Steel Leaf Champion is going to be the fast draw that can get us. And we have the Aviary Mechanic draw here. So this is pretty good. Oh, I thought we're going to get... This can be a rough matchup just because we don't really interact. We need to find our Dusk Dawn as soon as possible, once they get out like another Thallid. So next turn we'll throw out the Legion Conquistador and fill up our hand. Sapherd is pretty meh at the moment. We'll have chump blockers for it. There's another Mechanic. Now we definitely need to find the... So let's just thin out our deck. Get the other 2 Legion Conquistadors so we don't have to draw them. And then pass the turn. Opponent hasn't drawn the whatever the card that allows them to tap for mana yet. Well, actually, no, it would come out this turn. And we might just fold to it. There's the Song of Freyalise. We are not having a good day today with our opponent's draws versus our awkward draws. And a Jungle Pioneer. Lovely. Really going in the token routes. The thing is, my opponent is kind of out of cards. We can actually cast that next turn if we want to flip this Legion Conquistador. I lose 1 card. I'd lose 2 cards. I think it's worth it. Just to make sure. I mean, I hate this play, but I want to guarantee this Angel of Invention out. We're not going to win if we don't get this flipped and then can't cast our Legion next turn. At least we get to kill a Thallid too, which is awesome. I hope our opponent actually does block that way. Oh, opponent thought better. Okay, so hopefully our opponent just has land in hand and not create a gazillion tokens. Because doesn't this give trample as well? Yep, trample, indestructible, and +1/+1. So it's something we have to... Hey, opponent is tapping for mana. That's always a bad sign. Yeah. Ay. I think we're dead. Trample, indestructible, and +1/+1 permanent counter. Off the Song of Freyalise. If this was not in hand, our opponent would have some very awkward little 2/2s that don't really even get in for much. All right, I'm glad I did what I did, though, so we can go the Angel of Invention. I still think I die, though. I think I do. Because the Song of Freyalise is going to crack, and then I take just an insane amount of damage. We might go 3 and out this time with the deck. If so, we'll play a few more matchups just to get a feel of this deck. But they God draw it again. So two games in a row. So how do I absorb as much damage as possible? The mechanic can go there. So 15 damage here. Jesus Christ. That is a ton of damage. This can block here. And we'll just absorb as much damage as we can. Let's see if that's enough. Because the Conquistador... I can't lose that. So I have 12 damage that's going through. I'm gaining another... Losing. I'm too... See if this is too much damage. I can't even sell it. Okay, so... Down to 4. Land where else isn't bad. Thing is, though, my opponent has a bazillion tokens. And that's really not going to help us because we need to put out another Angel Invention. Create some more servos. Go up to a whopping 7, but again, I think that we're just going to be taking too much damage. We do have lifelink that can happen off of the Angel, but all these saplings are just massive. They got the counters. I mean, we need to keep these Angels alive, and I don't see that happening because we can only block... Need an Oketra's Monument to come out the turn where we decided to attack in rather than having to flip for the Adantos because that would have put out some more blockers. And then this turn we could have gone creating some more chump blockers. That's probably the worst attack known to man. This might actually get us back in here. It's actually the Legion Conquistador we can just throw. Don't know what that was about. I think we actually win this now. Weird. That was a very weird attack. We'll start off with the Angels as they fly and have vigilance. And then I think what we're going to do is actually bounce one back and put another... No, we can actually do more with just putting out a Conquistador and then leaving up the Adanto. Okay, well, sometimes you get lucky that our opponent did not put our feet to the fire. Could still easily lose this with... There are a lot of spells in this deck. Like, this is a known deck. Very known deck of you know, how it works. They do run other ways to... Wow. Our opponent didn't do anything. I'm going to start attacking in with... the lifelinker as well. And what is the only thing I'll lose to? I think just getting another lifelinker out is fine. So I'll put out the last Legion Conquistador and keep up the mana for the lifelinker. And have not a clue what my opponent got stuck with in their hand. Phew! Oh! Should have just swung in, I would have been dead. Alright. So, knocked all the way down to a silver 1, by the way, which is funny with I just won a 7-1 with Marionette Master, and then before that I did very well with the Monument yesterday. It's so crazy. It's hard to keep your gold rating. It's for whatever reason, it might just be pairing me up with, like, here's another bronze it's pairing me up with. And if you lose a match to a bronze player, you just get your rating gets completely wrecked. And I have some theories on how they're actually pairing us up based upon the cards in the deck rather than the overall skill. And I played a Sarkhan's, just a deck I was brewing around with, didn't have all the pieces to a lot of the, or just don't have the right numbers of what it is. And I went like a bunch of 0-3s and outs, and it just wrecked my, went all the way from gold 3 down to silver 1. So this is kind of a gross hand if we get stuck on 3. If we draw other land, this is a great hand. And we have a decent little hand versus control. Our opponent is like Grixis. Grixis can be tough with the amount of removal they run, but this deck's actually pretty decent versus it. So Glint Sleeve Siphoner. So I think I'm gonna try to hold my opponent's feet to the fire here. As next turn, even if we don't draw a land, we can... That's an interesting block, and I'm actually okay with that block, as my opponent goes down to 15 and does not have a way to fill back up their hand. Adanto, I don't think will be too problematic for my opponent, because they do have Vraska's Contempt, but if they do have to run a Vraska's Contempt out on Adanto's Vanguard, that's pretty decent. Whirler Virtuoso throws out enough to put 1 Thopter in, so let's hope for a land, and that's the worst card in the world. To draw the duplicate Oketra's Monument, but we'll attack in again. When it makes a Thopter, we'll definitely give our thing indestructible. Sure thing. This is an energy deck, so the more that we can wheedle down that energy deck, that's you know, it's good. I don't think life is going to be too much of an issue. I know they run Demanding Dragon, but Demanding Dragon's actually not going to be doing damage to us, I don't believe. So another Whirler Virtuoso would be annoying. Nicol Bolas would not be annoying, because we can just chuck the Oketra's Monument away. Hey, speak of the devil. And the devil comes down. So we do have the Oketra's Monument that we cannot utilize. We draw a land here. We can throw out a Angel of Invention, which is a decent little draw. So I think I'm going to attack with these 3. Or let's put in this little warrior. And, yep, we'll give it indestructible. We'll go down to a 12. Get in for the 3 damage, lose our guy, and then the Angel of Invention can come out here. We'll create some servos still in this, I think. So, the Nicol Bolas can start attacking in. It can't leave back a blocker, though. If Nicol Bolas does attack in, I gotta assume a Demanding Dragon is coming here. And then we just have to start being aggressive. Not too afraid of Scarab God, with the Skymarcher Aspirant is the only target. If we draw into either a Shefet Dunes or a Pride of the Conquerors, I think it's just lethal at this point. So a little bronze player here with the Tier 1 deck. So, yeah, I don't know. There goes my theory. We also don't know how many people have redeemed for this particular deck. You see it every now and again. I would say like every 3rd league you'll see the Grixis. I know that this right now is very, very popular on MTG. So Braid, unfortunately, a Braid's a thing. It doesn't kill our Oketra's Monument though, so we do have ways that we can get back in this. Card for not even quite a card, and if there's another Whirler Virtuoso, Champion of Wits, okay. Champion Wits will help our opponent. I think my opponent needs to start being aggressive. Good news is I don't think we have a dead draw. They threw away a Commit to Memory and a Glint Sleeve Siphoner. So, just going to come in with the Nicol Bolas? No, decides not to come in. There's a Pride of Conquerors. Do we actually have lethal here? So, 3, 6, 9, 12. We do not. I am going to still decide to attack in. As my opponent will lose Nicol Bolas, as well as everything else, and we'll keep everything else. Do I want to lose my Adanto? No. Opponent's down to a 3. I think we will just keep the Skymarcher Aspirant back in case there is some sort of board wipe. My opponent's just going to scoop it up. So there you go. That's why Pride of the Conquerors is such a pivotal piece of this deck. That top deck was very, very good. So the rest of the time I cannot complain about bad top decks. You can hold me to that. I probably will still because I am the whiniest Magic player, no demand, when things don't go my way on Arena. But nevertheless, that was a great top deck. So after my Arena updates, we'll get back to brewing new decks. I like to showcase this. This is how I play Magic the most. I am all in on Arena. I still play a lot of paper Magic too. But Arena is just a lot of fun games very quickly at my fingertips. MTG, I tried to play it today, and MTG is still a garbage software. It's so sluggish, so sluggish. Every update they seem to do makes it even harder to click through things. So I was playing some Pauper there, and then timed out with Marasatron, and got sick of it. So many bad matter players on MTG. 2 of the matches they even said in the comments, enjoy your timeout, even though I had the win. And I barely timed out. Barely had my opponent locked out, and 53 seconds left, and couldn't attack in enough for it. And that was with my opponent, my jackass opponent, like using prismatic strands and stuff to, fog one attack away just to make me go through all the motions again, and activating stuff like activating cards to make it so that I have to click OK to it, like all that kind of stuff. Sure, that's strategy, but in my opinion, you're basically exploiting MTGO. It doesn't work that way in paper, so whatever. There's my saltiness. Opponent Shivan fires and Goblin Instigator. So Instigator is not something that I'm worried about, as we pair it pretty well against it. I think we are going to get back the Legion's Landing. And this could be a Goblin-based deck. That's the only reason at the moment, I think, for running Goblin Instigator, unless our opponent is trying to get up to something big and putting these out just to chump block. But Goblin Instigator pairs very poorly against Goblin Chain Whirler. So if my opponent attacks in, that's a huge Chain Whirler. Okay. Advertisement. Opponent does not attack in. So we are going to throw out the Oketra's Monument and hope they're not running the other Goblin Lord that then can sacrifice to kill my Oketra's Monument, because we want to get some value out of it. A Braid could also happen here. Chandra. Alright, so Chandra can +1 here, or plus for mana. The worst case scenario is plus for a Braid. Alright, that's not going to be too terrible. Lightning Strike, 2 damage to me. And then I get to go crazy this turn with a lot of cards, so we'll start off with attacking into Chandra, see if double block happens here. If double block happens here, this is fine, because we're going to have enough for... There we go. We'll go a Militia Bugler and then a Mavren. So this needs to find me an Angel. There we go. The Aviary Mechanic was also kind of interesting there, as we did have the kind of the combo. But this is just better. Next turn we have both the Legion's Landing and the Angel to come out. So our opponent's got to really take care of my board this turn. And that could easily happen with Chandra. Three cards left in hand. Chandra will most likely plus to find some more.
Yep. You're going
Does not, just finds a land. So Chain Ruler sucks here. Demanding Dragon sucks here. Apparently having 3 Chandras in your hand is also not ideal. Let's go with a good old Angel, which most likely will die. But it's going to put out the servos and the servos and the +1/+1 if my opponent does not kill it before damage is done. I'm pretty sure this is just going to get lightning striked away, though. I don't know what else would my opponent be holding up in hand. We've seen a Shivan Fire and a lightning strike exiled or used. So everything's going to go at Chandra. And Arena is going to reorder things so it's difficult to click on them. So that's what Arena does best. And then we get not only we get a token, we also get the Legion's Landing to flip. And now I've got a decision. I can actually mechanic back Legion's Landing and replay it again, which probably won't do. I'll probably just get back a Bugler. Because Bugler can find me another Angel after this one dies here. Because it's huge probability that the Angel of Invention just... Yep. Okay. So Chandra dies, my Angel dies, and we're going to get the good old Bugler back. So this could just be the Dragon deck, Chandra and Sarkon, and then Demanding Dragons and Glorybringers. Not a bad deck. This one's actually, people are running it in Modern at the moment with Skred, but it's funny because a lot of the cards are still Standard. So we could go for the win here with the Shefet Dunes. Yeah, okay. That's what I was going to do, just crack a Shefet Dunes and win. So far so good. Got a nice little, besides that triple Chain Whirler, we're in the driver's seat here with the 3 wins. And you can see this is a pretty fast deck. Like that's one thing you can do with watching these series is see how quickly you can go through a league. We get our money back already if we lose. I believe we get the 500 with 3-3. So one more win is what, 650? Very good hand. This is ideal. This is a great hand. Our opponent does mulligan. The only thing that'd be better instead of a Militia Bugler would be like a 2-drop. Or just even another 1-drop, just so we can try to get that Legion Landing out. But, I mean, this is fine. Legion's Landing is the card. That was kind of a bad draw finding that 4th land, but up to 5 is fine. Anything past that that's where it gets a little bit tough to utilize. Well, we did want that, so... I am going to return it. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have returned it. Maybe I should have let it out. So this could be just the Aura's deck that has a bunch of the flyers, or even a Favorable Winds type deck, or even a Pirates deck. This is a card that I have not seen for quite a while. And a Chart a Course. Okay, it probably is a Favorable Winds deck. So this is good because this allows Oketra's Monument to guarantee come out here. I can't get countered. All right, Storm Tamer. Yeah, we should do well against this. That was actually a pretty good draw. We got Oketra's Monument. Can't block anything, but we're actually mitigating the life loss. Opponent is down to a 16. Angels can block Tempest Djinn. Okay. So this is just a... It's got to be some sort of flying deck. So it's going to be key to find our pump spells, because I cannot block anything. Ah, of course we draw another Legion Conquistador. Well, let's get the last Legion Conquistador out of the way. Opponent decided not to attack, which I think was very much the wrong move. We'll take another Bugler. And no attacks. We are threatening a lot of damage here. Our opponent is threatening a lot of damage with the Tempest Djinn. So this is the Tezzeret. Might just create a Thopter. Okay, that's fine. And we're going to be taking 5. So we will be attacking, and I believe we need to go at our opponent. So we're going to throw out a Legion's Landing. And... do as much as possible. What does the ult do? It's 9. Opponent's going to block cards, which is fine. Yeah, this is actually pretty good. Yeah, that was... I'm happy about that block, because that allows us to not have to face down lethal with favorable wins. Alright, so yeah, Tezzeret's pretty pathetic if it just is a 5 mana for a 1/1 Thopter. Needs to find another Tempest Djinn here. Or Djinn, however you say that even. I am not the best at fantasy vocabulary. Warkite, Marauder, when it attacks they become 1/1s, right? Just target creature. Alright, so my opponent needs to keep out, or keep back the Tempest Djinn. There's no Aetherize or anything in this format, is there? I might just go for lethal here. There's Arch of Orazca. And that will do it. Don't know what was up with the... I guess, yeah, it was still lethal anyway. My opponent just didn't have anything in hand. Kind of a cool little deck, a Thopter-based deck. I wonder if there's the 3 mana, the 1/2 that puts out a 1/1 Thopter in the deck as well. Pretty weak to Chain Whirler, though. Another great hand. We will keep it and have the panic button Dusk, which is interesting with the hand that we have. As we'll at least get the mechanic after the Oketra's Monument. All right, so Plains comes out. So little bit of a sneak peek too. I think the next deck you will be seeing is that Sarkhan's the enchantment that whenever you cast a creature with power 4 or greater or 7 or greater, it does damage. That is going to be the deck I'm going to be working on and trying to perfect next. So I'm going to try to get back into the swing of things of really creating a competitive deck. The Marionette Master deck is still phenomenal. So old school red with Earthshaker Kenras. Alright, so the race is on. We'll throw out another Plains. We'll go Oketra's Monument. And let's hope not to find any lousy lands off the top. No, I don't really care about a Chain Whirler here. In fact, I hope my opponent puts out a Chain Whirler. Just another Earthshaker Kendra. All right. Yeah, that's not... Yeah, I don't have to worry about that. Down to... Okay, Conquistador is great. That allows for a Conquistador. Fill back up that beautiful hand. We're both at 14. Throw out the last Conquistador, or the last one we can put out this turn. And Chain Whirler doesn't do that much. I'll let the Adanto Vanguard go at this point instead of 4 life, if Chain Whirler is a thing. Scrappy Scrounger is not something I'm worried about. And beautiful, beautiful card to draw into here as well. I think we're going to go Legion's Landing. And bounce it back. Get in there with the team. Opponent's going to block the Adanto Vanguard and the Legion Conquistador. We're going to let them die. And I will throw out the second to last Legion Conquistador and have my opponent be staring down lethal next turn. So my opponent didn't have a terrible draw. I had a 2-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop. But we overwhelmed them. Back up to gold. I think. Yep, back up to gold. For the 1000th time. Haven't made it past gold 3. Haven't even made it very far up gold 3. I'm telling you, lose one match, it like kills your entire rank. So if you're higher than that, let me know. I don't expect myself to go very far with... There is no reward for it anyway, so it's kind of pointless. But again, one bad brew, and that's... Your rating goes bye-bye. Alrighty, so another decent hand because it's quick. And we'll most likely get that Legion's Landing flipped. So, going up against a green deck, Adventurous Impulse. Finds a forest. Alright. Okay, so still going to go Legion's Landing here because we get value off the mechanic later on. And we'll have the Oketra's Monument for next turn. And we are in very, very good shape. We just need to avoid flooding out. We do have the bouncing back of mechanics, though, so that's actually not that terrible of a play. All right, so it's green-red with the Impulse. Merfolk Branchwalker. Green-red monsters, most likely. Rekindling Phoenix, yep. So... keep back our guy. Don't want to replace it with a Merfolk Branchwalker. That is coming to play tapped. We are going to be staring down a Phoenix next turn. Alright. Gets abraded. Womp womp. I think this turn we will just... I'm going to go Aviary Mechanic. And still... get back the Legion's Landing. And I am going to tack in here. My opponent wants to trade with it. That's fine. Add a braid. So we need to really find a answer for this Ash Cloud Phoenix. Ugh, or Rekindling Phoenix. Found another land. So it's all if we want. Opponent can block 2 of them. I don't know if we can give our opponent another turn, though. get it flipped just because it's... Yeah, I still think it's the better. Get those 3 damage in. We have our renewable resources. We're going to go... Yeah, I'd rather go Vanguard and keep the mechanic just in case we get another. But we're in kind of bad shape, actually. A Braid was rough. The Rekindling Phoenix was tough for us. Green-red monsters just keeps on getting bigger. Without Settle the Wreckages, I'm not... Yeah, it's going to be finding the Dusk Dawn. The Vanguard's something I can't really even attack into. I don't really have a dead draw, though. Down to an 18. Militia Bugler is good here. Would I rather... Yeah, no, we want Militia Bugler, I think. Yeah, and then we can mechanic it back. Take the Legion Conquistador. Oh, at least it gets us closer, kind of thins out our deck there. I don't care too much for any of the cards. They're out. We can make some trades. The Bugler needs to find an Angel. This Dusk Dawn is going to be very key here. Another alpha. Opponent is being very cautious. Well, we're going to thin out our deck, make sure all the Legion Conquistadors are out of the way. I think I can take some damage for another turn. Like, our opponent is like not wanting to attack in because of being at 13 life with the threat. Should know every card in. Of course, it's a Galta. So dug to try to find the Dusk Dawn or an Angel, and unfortunately we didn't get either. I think our opponent's just going to kill the Skymarcher Aspirant here. And now I can't block enough damage. Double red alpha, that one Abrade. 16 life. I don't know why my opponent's not attacking with other stuff. Because opponent is sort of giving me the opportunity to win to... So 16, I'm taking 10, so can I have to block 2 of these. That puts me on to 8. So I'll laugh if I get a Dusk Dawn. Because that puts me down to 8, 12, yep. That's all I got to do. Should have attacked him with other stuff. I mean, I highly doubt that I get like a Dusk Dawn, but... Oh, not a Dusk Dawn. Womp womp. Alright, well, that's the second loss. Now we'll lose our gold 2. Our gold 4, I mean. Alright, see if we can finish this off. That's a very winnable matchup. I don't think I would mind facing green-red monsters. Kind of funny how it's come back around full circle to... That deck was quite popular when Scarab God was popular. And another way to kind of push through the energy variants. And so now people are going bigger against now the energy that's probably keeping red in check. So this time we have the Dust on. Hopefully it's not a dead card for whatever we're playing against. But I always keep Oketra's Monument decks. Land or Elf is fine. Dust on will most likely be good in this. We need to avoid drawing the lands, though. Alright, so see if a Steel Leaf comes out here. If that's the case, we at least will have a Dust on to react to it. Alright, not what I wanted to be, and we drew another land, of course. No attackers. Best case scenario is my opponent puts out another Steel Leaf Champion this turn. And then we can get some value. Alright, we're in good shape. When it rains and pours, my friends. Seven mana. That's always where we want to be at. One card, Legion Conquistador, can turn this around. So, taking the damage. Hey, Angel of Invention can also turn this around. Opponent's down to a 13. Assuming there's something like a J-Light Ranger, my opponent tried to tap last turn and then realized they didn't have enough mana for it, so 6, 7 mana. Could be Galta that's stuck in. Aggressive Mammoth, huh? Can't stop my flyers. And in fact, that's not quite lethal. You can block, 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 and take some damage. So, do I need to run it out there, though? Would lose. I still attack him with everything. Just lose one, possibly double block loses more. This doesn't have, yeah, reach. And I gain 2 life, which is pretty significant. I mean, I want these blocks to happen. I absolutely do, because it's one less blocker. For man, we drew another 9 lands. Again, that's going to be the difference of winning and losing this match. Okay, that was a very awkward attack from my opponent. It puts me at lethal range next turn without a reach creature. So it needs to find a way to kill this angel. What the hell is this game? If I find another pump to put on the aggressive mammoth, I will laugh. A prodigious growth. I go down to a 1 and then I win. That's funny. Good lord. But still, look, my opponent almost lethaled me. Yeah, might as well just cast this out. But I didn't even need that. Top deck had the Shefet Dunes. It would have done the exact same. Oh, wow. Ugh. Shudder, shudder. I had 2 cards left in the deck. An 8/8 to make it a 15, and then the removal. But did have to tap out for it, so I'm lucky that didn't have the... So yeah, if they wouldn't have blocked the elf with the elf last turn, would have been exactly lethal to swing back on. And then you would have seen me rage. Okay, last game. Win or lose. This is the longest I've waited for a queue. 25 seconds, 26 seconds. Arena is very popular, by the way, if you have to only wait 26 seconds for a game. But I'm actually interested in how they actually do the rating system. I don't think ELO works in Magic the Gathering the way that it works in chess or even like League of Legends, because strength of opponent is completely different in a game with variance in it. So someone created an ELO system back in the day for Magic where it had everyone have a 40% chance of winning just off of variance alone. And so then, how ELO works is it tries to pair up or tries to compare someone's rating versus someone else. So if you start at 1500 rating, for example, and you play someone against like 19 or 2000 rating, it's showing in chess, it's showing that that person has like a 99.9% chance of winning. So they only win like 1 point if they actually beat you, because the odds are that they should beat you. Instead of just plain dumb luck or something, a person has a heart attack and dies. That's the only way that in chess a 1500 is going to be able to beat someone with a very, very high rating. But in Magic, that's not the case. Magic is variance could happen to anyone at any given time. Owen Turnwald could lose to Scrubby McGee. And just, getting stuck on lands. All right, this is kind of an interesting board state. With 3 mana available, I will be attacking in. And I'm actually okay with my opponent blocking. We're going to do a Vanguard. So Bugler needs to dig for some cards here, but my opponent's got a lot of mana available. This could be a Lyra here. So it's going to be one of those games we need to find that Dusk Dawn. But yeah, so anyway, if Arena's doing a non-modified ELO with a base with variance, okay, it's going to be another one of these decks. So let's just hope they don't have the payoff cards. Oh, wow. Didn't hit a land drop, though, that turn, though, correct? And only 2 lands left in, so we need to... Okay, just a Spore. And then 1 card. Kind of a weird attack. I'm going to kill off one of them, take 6. There's our Oketra's Monument. That'll give us some chump blockers. And we will... yeah, I'm going to take the Bugler back. I think that's fine. We can block with the Mechanic. I need to keep the gas going. Need to avoid another Spore Thallid. Hits another land. Good, 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 good. So that's what I need to avoid. Huatli is sort of a threat, but at the moment
and be recognized by history.
It's not as threatening. Without having with just an unknown on top. That's what I'm trying to get at. Weird little attack. And I will decide just to... Well, what does Huatli have to do? 8? So the Adanto is not going to block. Yeah, that was a bad attack by my opponent. Because now Huatli doesn't get to ult. Which do I prefer, a Mavren and a Bugler? I think I actually do prefer a Mavren and a Bugler over So my opponent kind of threw this game away. I don't know if they would have won, but that was a terrible attack. So no ult on Huatli, and I get some blockers. It doesn't give trample. My opponent would still have to find a way to give it trample, and the thing about Huatli is it's sorcery speed, so I can definitely figure out how to block at that point. It's only getting +4/+4. Again, very terrible attack. I don't know. That's how my opponent only loses this game. Just need to sit back, ult Huatli next turn, keep a blocker back for the Adanto Vanguard, ult Huatli next turn, hopefully top deck into something like a Saproling Migration or a Tendershoot Dryad and draw a crap ton of cards. Yeah, that would have been the way to do it. Unfortunately, the Tendershoot Dryad might be tough for me to actually beat. Opponent's going to throw away another Llanowar Elf. Okay, not going to throw away a Llanowar Elf. And this loyalty is there forever. I think I lost this to the Tendershoot Dryad just because I'm not going to be able to get enough. So, yeah, I think this is just the block. Go down to a 1. But 2 cards per turn are with Huatli. Yikes. It's going to take a lot to get out of this. Crazy top deck. And had perfect 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 4, 5, 6. No, they're 1 up. Ugh, this Tendershoot Dryad. Shefet Dunes is a card that will help me get out of this. So, we're going to go Angel of Invention. I might actually flip it back with a... No, because we have another one for the next turn. I actually don't know if that's the right call. So, combat. And Adanto Vanguard is going to go at my opponent. And I think the Bugler as well. But I want to go at Huatli to force out some blocks. Mavren can come out here too because my opponent will lose a Saproling. I don't know if that's right. No, that's definitely not right. So I'm going to lose the Adanto, but it still gets a Saproling out of the way. Opponent's going to go down with Huatli, which I don't know. Yeah, I definitely should have attacked with Mavren. That was bad. I needed to take Huatli off the ult. So, bad attack by my part. Tendershoot Dryad is the top deck.
Some fire from you.
So we're gonna just go Mechanic. And I'm gonna put back a Militia Bugler. Even though we don't have the mana to use it, I still want some Buglers. If we find like a Dust On, though, we can actually just win in 1 turn. Huatli needs to ult. It's going to get a card per turn at that point. I don't know if I can keep up with that. Thing is, I have chump blockers forever. Attacking with cards I don't think is the right play with my opponent right now.
My strength is
Wrong move, my friend. Pumping up Huatli for what reason? Does not get Skymarcher Aspirant's another great card because that is where we want to be. This is going to go at my opponent's face now. I don't think we wait another turn. So this can go down to 13. I think I attacking with everything. I think Mavren can even come in here. Yeah, that's fine. We're going to gain some life, some significant life, get another token. Have some decent blockers back. My opponent has to even block correctly to survive this. So double blocking is probably pretty rough to kill cards like Mavren. Kill my... Nope, not even gonna kill a lifelinker, so... Watch some random fog effect happen. I don't think it matters this time. Ooh, it's a random Pride of Conquerors. And that's still lethal. Needed to block one more with the Tendershoot Dryad. Whew! So we actually win that one out. That was fun. Let's go ahead and get our reward here. Oh, arena players. We have the Ravenous Intruder. Fun little card for Atog. Surprised there was never a deck that utilized Ravenous Intruder. We have Thud and Fling. Maybe we should try building around it. Maybe I'll do a Ravenous Intruder Thug/Fling build with Psy Master Thopterist. Sound good? We'll brew it. We'll brew that one instead of the other deck, because I think that's a deck we can get behind. And a crappy Blood Crazed Paladin. Alrighty. We will claim these prizes. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, we'll have another one coming up shortly for the Rogues Alley. Well, maybe Ravenous Intruder will be a thing. We can probably try that and like Metalwork Colossus Thud. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.